Donald Trump's polling lead in multiple swing states has evaporated as Republicans have struggled to stem the momentum of the Harris Walz campaign. In the past, when he was on the younger side, Trump's response would have been simple. Just get out there and do more TV and do more rallies. But now the 78-year-old is hardly campaigning at all. He's just compulsively posting angrily to social media and doing rambling press conferences like the one he did yesterday, although crucially from the comfort of literally his own house. The Harris Walz campaign is trolling Trump for it, saying in a press release that Donald Trump is too lazy to fight for anything but himself or leave his country club. Fine by us. Now, in fairness to the ex-president, he does have one campaign event scheduled for this week. It's right there on the events page of Trump Vance. It is in deep red Montana, and it is tonight. Sure enough, here's a live look of people waiting for Trump at that rally site in the pivotal electoral bastion of Bozeman, Montana. Why there? Well, if you're feeling generous to Trump, you could say there is a genuinely competitive Senate race there, which was sort of what he suggested when a reporter asked about his light schedule yesterday.
Actually, I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers. I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected. Now, among other things, is there a competitive Senate race in Wyoming that I missed? Anyway, so the idea, if you believe Trump there, is that he's just that kind of guy. Like, he doesn't even want to do it. It's kind of a pain, but he's just doing it the kindness of his own heart. Except, you won't be surprised to learn that's not really the story here. There is another reason that has to do primarily with a guy who is not from Montana and has nothing to do with Montana. And it's this guy.
Absolutely. He's fit for duty. I think he will remain fit for duty for the remainder of this term and even for the remainder of another term if he's elected.
Can you explain to me how a guy who eats McDonald's and fried chicken and all those Diet Cokes and who never exercises is in as good a shape as you say he's in?
It's called genetics. I don't know. It's some people have, just great genes. I told the president that if he had a healthier diet over the last 20 years, he might live to be 200 years old. I don't know. But I would say the answer to your question is he has incredibly good genes, and it's just the way God made him.
That was Ronny Jackson, the Navy doctor acting as Trump's presidential physician back in 2018, when Trump was being incredibly cagey amid questions about his medical and cognitive fitness. Jackson has now become a far-right conspiracy-spewing MAGA congressman in Texas. But that wasn't always going to be his next job after the Navy. You see, back in 2018, Trump wanted to reward Jackson for raving about his virility and health to the public. And that reward was to nominate Jackson to be Secretary of Veteran Affairs, running the $300 billion federal agency that provides crucial care and benefits to the nation's military vets. It was a surprise announcement, and it quickly blew up in Trump's face. After dozens of former colleagues came forward to allege that Jackson had misused prescription drugs, created a hostile work environment, and been drunk on the job. Those allegations were collected and investigated by the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee and its top Democrat, Senator Jon Tester of Montana.
I understand he had a nickname in the White House among some of the White House staff.
And it was the candy man because he handed out prescription drugs like they were candy.
The White House doctor, his nickname among some people in the White House was the Candyman.
That's correct. That's correct. That's what we were told.
Tester was reticent to discuss the allegations, but they were so serious, he said, that they could not be ignored.
I think what we've seen is a pattern of problems that people deserve to know. I know a lot of folks have said, mainly from the White House, is we shouldn't be doing this. Look, it would be senatorial malpractice for us not to follow up on this issue and find out what kind of a person Ronny Jackson is. And Chuck, I've never done this before. I don't know. I just want to get the best person to run the VA as possible because our veterans deserve that. And these aren't my accusations. These are accusations by active and retired military personnel that have come to us. We're just trying to follow up to make sure what's true and what's not.
To be clear, Senator Tester was not out there on his own. In fact, he was supported by the Republican ranking member of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee at the time, the chair, Georgia Senator Johnny Isakson, because they all knew the allegations against Jackson were numerous and serious. And eventually the military would agree. The Pentagon released an investigation that concluded Jackson disparaged, belittled, bullied, and humiliated his subordinates, that he engaged in inappropriate conduct involving the use of alcohol, that he took Ambien while he was on duty. Offenses bad enough the Navy demoted him in rank to captain after he had retired. By then, Jackson had withdrawn from consideration as VA secretary and launched a successful campaign for Congress as a kind of Trump acolyte. Trump did not forget. He was so incensed that he couldn't just install one of his biggest cheerleaders as the head of the VA. He swore a vendetta against Senator Jon Tester, who was up for re-election that year.
And I watched what Jon Tester of Montana, a state that I won by like over 20 points, really, they love me and I love them. And I want to tell you that Jon Tester, I think this is going to cause him a lot of problems. For him to be doing this to this man and this family, I think Jon Tester has to have a big price to pay in Montana, because I don't think people in Montana, the admiral is the kind of person that they respect and admire, and they don't like seeing what's happened to him.
The captain, in point of fact. Despite Trump's efforts, Jon Tester won his re-election bid in 2018. 6 years later, Tester's running for re-election again. Again, it's uphill battle, right? It is Trump country, at least at the statewide level, the presidential. This week, Trump is going to Montana, and only Montana, to campaign against the Democratic senator that he blames for sinking Ronny Jackson's chance to do Trump's bidding at the VA. You can't get the guy off the golf course to campaign for his own re-election. He's not out there stumping with his own vice presidential candidate who's doing his whole stalker tour. He is only doing press conferences from the comfort of his own house at Mar-a-Lago. The only thing that gets this 78-year-old man on a plane and on the campaign trail, his one event, is a revenge tour. If you have any question about what would power a second Trump term, think about this. What will rouse an increasingly slow 78-year-old man to action? The answer appears to be pure spite.